They were talking about the arrival of Columbus, the 1992 celebration of arrival of Columbus. And to us, that was like the beginning of destruction.
The foreigners say we should celebrate Columbus. But we, the Indians, on this land ask, why should we celebrate? He didn't discover me. I did not arrive after him. You've come from another place. We lived with nothing in the old days. Then you arrived with many gifts. But we lived well with nothing. I know because I'm an elder. We were fine with nothing, but you moved us. Now we're orphans and alone.
On the morning of Friday, October the 12th, 1492, Columbus sighted his new world. There were many islands and countless people, he wrote, and I planted the flag and took possession of it all for the King and Queen of Spain. Since that day, the culture, language, and history of the American Indians have been suppressed. They ceased to have a voice. But this is their story, just a few tales to stand for so many, from the Arctic to the high Andes to Tierra del Fuego. The Indian story of 1492 and what followed.
When Christopher Columbus arrived, our grandparents had already been here for thousands of years. Our people knew many things. Our God had already taught us how to live. When Columbus arrived, he spied on us Indians. What are the customs of the Indians, he asked. How many days do you drink? How many days do you dance and celebrate? Then, when our ancestors were celebrating, they attacked them. They attacked in the night. They cut their throats. The throats of our grandmothers, our grandfathers, and our great wise men. They murdered them all. By sunrise, the heads of our grandparents were lined up on the rocks. They were piled up in great heaps.
For white people, Columbus is just history now. Hollywood, TV, and tourism have turned the Indians into exotic objects, creating fantasies for white entertainment. But these are true stories, part of an unbroken chain of witness passed down from parents to children over 500 years.
No, I got two for $1 down there.
This day which they're going to celebrate is the day of our grandmother's and grandfather's death. It's our pain, you see. As for them, they feel happy, but we're in pain. You killed us. You killed our king. You killed our grandfathers. You killed our wise men. Moreover, when they speak of Christopher Columbus, they call it America. I say this isn't America. That's not what it is. This is the land of Orkun here. The Kuna came to the land of Orkun. We're not Americans. The name America didn't originate here. America came from far away.
For the Kuna, this was the land of Orkun. The Apache called their continent Negusan. The Kogi, Gonavindua. The Sioux, Keya, the turtle island whose backbone is the Rocky Mountains. The sacred book of the Maya, the Popwu, speaks for all the American Indian peoples when it says that humanity was put on earth to nurture it and bear respect for its divinity.
I suppose it was bound to happen that somebody would sail the ocean blues. Fortunately, that got lost and came upon our shores, and we greeted him with open arms, treated him as a human being with dignity. And it may have been our mistake because of our lack of understanding as to why he was here. But we helped him to be able to survive the harsh winters because we knew the land. But yet, he stabbed us in the back and went home and signed deeds that gave away our land.
Indian tradition teaches you to take only what you need from nature. George Lameboy is a Cree trapper from James Bay, northern Canada.
If I were to try to explain to the sea why people come out here, why people go hunting, fishing and trapping, it's the peace that you find yourself in. You're part of nature. People that hunted and fished and trapped before your time, you're going back almost in time to those people who hunted and fished in this region. For myself, when I come out here, I'm going back in time. So you create a bond. There's a bond between yourself as a trapper and your trap line.
The people that trap here right now, okay, that is part of the relation one has with the trap line. The other part that is not visible to any non-native is the people who are already gone, who have trapped. Okay? There are a lot of people that trapped in this trap line that are no longer with us. So it's only a continuation what they started.
The American Indians believed that humanity is not separate from nature, but bound up with it. The whites, they feel, have forgotten this wisdom. This is the story of the Cree on James Bay in subarctic Canada.
My dad always told me, he had a vision. He said, there will come a time when the white man will come our way. He will want our trees. He will want the waters. And he will come in and he'll just do whatever he wants to do. And he said, there will come a time when they will divert our rivers. So there'll come a time when you will see machines that'll come in and eat up the trees. And it's going to be clear right where you're standing.
The time came for the Cree in 1971, when they read in the papers of a huge hydroelectric scheme to be built on their land. By 1975, they felt they'd no option but to sign an agreement with the Canadian government and allow the multinational Hydro-Quebec to flood 15,000 square kilometers of their land.
We were told there'd be no harm done, but that's a lie. And because nobody knew, we couldn't grasp the magnitude of these projects. I still can't. It's mind-boggling to see the diversion and the area that is flooded, and what have they done to the land of reshaping the whole geography of the land. We certainly have paid a price because they displaced us, they relocated us. It is outsiders that are making decisions and determining our future.
The first phase will be finished in 1995, but already the Premier of Quebec, Robert Bourassa, is pushing for more. With his corporate allies, he dreams of providing electricity even beyond Canada to the USA. This plan is what they call James Bay 2.
No James Bay 2! No James Bay 2! No James Bay 2! No James Bay 2!
The struggle has bred a new kind of American Indian leader, university-educated men and women fighting back against the multinationals, against the visions of politicians like Bourassa. The Grand Chief of the James Bay Cree is Matthew Kuhn Kum.
Bourassa's dream has become a nightmare for us. It has destroyed our spawning grounds, it's destroyed the nesting grounds, it's displaced and relocated our people, and broke the social fabric of our communities. And we're saying that enough is enough. We want this. That we want irresponsible projects to be stopped.
Once bitten, twice shy, the Cree have all united now to fight the new plan. Men and women, young and old.
That song was about the beaver. He enjoyed hunting the beaver very much. And he says that he doesn't want anybody building dams in his hunting territory. Only the beaver has the right to build dams.
Messieurs les présidents, mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir. You can see on the screen a general view of what would look like the GB1 site. First, there would be an underground generating station, 4 reservoirs of a total area of 3,516 square kilometers. From this land would be flooded on an area of 1,774 square kilometers.
How dare they think that this is their land? Where did they get their permission from? We were here first, and we've always been here, and we only know that the white man came within this region in the late 18 and 1900s, and then we're here way before, and I don't know who gave them the permission. to do as they damn well please.
In the forests of the Xingu River in Brazil, the Panará have another tale to tell. They only came into contact with the whites in 1971. In 4 years, they were reduced by disease from 500 to 67 people. Their experience mirrors that of the American Indians in the century after Columbus. Then 90% died from disease and war, perhaps as many as 90 million people. From time immemorial, the Panará had lived deep in their forest, preserving their own traditions and laws. After only 4 years' contact with the whites, they were moved to a reservation over 100 miles away. By then, it was deemed to be the only way to save them. Their women were so traumatized that for a couple of years they couldn't conceive. Such was the impact of the whites after they first came through the jungle in the late 60s to try to find the Panará.
What did the white people come for? Why did they come here? We lived here when there were no white people. Why did the whites come here? They came in from over there. They entered our village, and then there were whites all around us. Was it to do us good that they came in? Then why did they come here and destroy everything? Many of you arrived, and we had never seen whites before here on our land. You came here giving us lots of things, lots of goods, and we liked what you gave us. But you treated us badly. You treated all of us very badly. You lied to us and took our land. That land is mine. That's our territory. I was born there and I grew up there.
Under the forest of the Panara was gold. Prospectors flooded in. Poor settlers who everywhere since 1492 have followed in the footsteps of the explorers and the conquistadors.
Yasu papo. Ye papo te se kota mama ra kya no ku wa yong karpe. Hey. Mama pa kansa tan city. Hey. Oh hey mama. King papa pe. Vakin pino papa pe pino pakuya pe. Mama kati sote ti pin pe pa po ma klika ki. Sote polan, ti sote pin pe polan. Ka. I sote pin pe po. Pin pe pa kwa yari. Ya kakri yanke. Pima papa pio pima paku. E pima me pino pina piano pe pima papa pima paku. Ouais, ya ma papi ya ma. Me yu pa pe. Ya ma me pino yu kuya pe. Me pino me sakin pe me pino yu me pinya puna pe.
Contact with the whites brought death everywhere in the Americas. And disease was the biggest killer, more than guns. The Indians had no immunity to the multitude of white infections. It was a Mayan prophet of the 16th century who said, "The coming of the whites will be the beginning of sickness, the beginning of fever, of burning chests and aching bones, the beginning of death."
Were we dying when you first came in? Did we have colds before? Did we have coughs? The same cough that now kills our children? Did we have disease? Now, since the first whites came, everyone is dying. Everyone dies, we're finished. We lived without death before. People were healthy. Why did the whites arrive? Why did they come in here? That's why everyone has died. That's why there are so few of us left. With the white people here, everyone is dying.
The colonization of the New World and the dispossession of its inhabitants after 1492 would become a myth in white culture in the Americas. When Thomas Jefferson spoke his self-evident truths that all are born equal with equal rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, he was defining what is still treasured as the American dream. But all were never equal in this dream. The Sioux, for example, once roamed freely over thousands of square miles around the Black Hills in South Dakota. Now they're held in one of the worst reservations in America, in Pine Ridge. With its barren soil, this is the poorest county in the USA. In the Everglades of Florida, the independent Seminole said no to Uncle Sam's provision of reservations and handouts. In return for working the surrounding citrus plantations, they lease 5 acres of land on which they can live as they wish.
Since the first arrival of the European people, we've been pushed and pushed, and the things that is against our laws and the things that we abide by the laws have been taken away from us, you know, one by one. Now all we have is what we have today, and we're trying to maintain that, like our ways, our laws, tradition, and our medicine. But those things has been exploited. You know, people has exploited our people, not just our people down here in Florida, but you know, up the northern Indians too. And so I think that, you know, I sit here and think about it. What have we done so wrong that people hate us so much and want to take everything from us and to abolish off of this earth? That I can't understand. Because, you know, looking back in the history of my people, in the native people of this country, I see where they have done so wrong.
The mother of the family is Susie Billy. It's hard to believe here in Florida, but she saw whites for the first time only in 1966.
When she first saw a white, she was scared. She was afraid. She didn't know what was going to happen. Her grandpa and her mother used to tell her about when white people start coming in, what's going to happen. So she said she was always afraid. And didn't know how to cut it. She don't have very much land to put her garden out. It's just very little, but she's still hanging on to what her grandmother taught her to do. What little she's got, she still feeds her kids, and that's what we're growing up on.
Danny Billy goes fishing in the canals alongside the Tamiami Trail, the first highway built across the Everglades in the 60s. He still fishes with a spear. Since 1947, half of all the surviving Everglades have been destroyed by developers, by fruit farmers, and by cattle ranchers.
It's like you would go out and try to trap an animal. You get him in a corner, you know, you're surrounded and you just close in on him. That's how we feel, like we're being closed in to choke us, you know, or to kill us, to abolish us off the face of this earth.
We have a right to use our lands. We have a right to go hunt, bring the food to feed for our kids. That's our life. When the first Creator put us on this earth, and they put us here for some reason. Protect the earth and protect the natures, protect the life on the earth. That's what we're here for, and the non-Indians trying to destroy us. If that happened, we don't know what's going to happen because non-Indian is destroying everything. The life, the trees, the water, the ditches, and everything. That's what they're putting it on. So if they destroy us, we don't know what's going to happen. We always think that's the end of the world's coming.
The peaks and the snow-capped mountains must be respected. They are our great-grandparents, our oldest wise men. They are responsible for the rains which water the land. If they did not exist, there would be no rain, no food, no life. The earth is our mother and provider. It is she who protects us. We plant many varieties of seed in her, and she produces everything for us to eat. And that's why she is called our Mother Earth.
In Colombia, the Indians have lived on the mountains for 10,000 years, maybe for much longer. The Ica share the ancient beliefs of all the Andean peoples before them, the Tairona, the Inca, the Tiwanaku, that the mountains are sacred, great links in the chain of being on which we all depend. But each year, more cattle ranchers and frontiersmen are invading the Ica lands, unrestrained by the law. And each year, the Ica lose more of their grazing lands and are driven ever higher into the mountains of the Sierra Nevada.
Gunam sagawi zareri gua rizaname gumini kunan nak cukup guna cikin kri ni gua kuana zuna cukwanan ke cukwanan ke jagianan di wira nak makana janza gunam saja yik cabian kaniga kuasa gunani anauga gunan dewa me kinjin nuzun ne
dewa me betul khajani kene jani ne kan Jumena Dinisi, Zangunakan, the Bet Party, Jumena, Yunachan, Kajumik, Yank Chukanana, Jumena Mezanka, Jumian Chua, Jumena Pangwani, Net Kelly. Yamakagami Madi. Duana Kusin Zoja, many and Kavana. Kase mapa duzenya zinani kazan. Imazan duzoja na wiki. Iwema ni bizaku na njanika. Imeka imadi mananka yamaba ani kujazana. Nari imadi kagamadi. Wesu jagesi. Beke mi kunkunga niko anisi zoji kwazana nina. Nani kariwen. Jerbe jersi. Simana neki yin zani kujanika. Ajang bin kwisi zang nzojana ajang bin ngaichi bin nzoja jo e mari ni bizako jo ni izage zungunande
ani kimek ema imi kagumane kini bingusi bunachkin kiria zana ani binga biya jiran jinno ikin kana runguni kana nai ani vivari nzoja me ngwikindi ndivi Nzori anabi ajaran kan gwer kinki bari nanu nanu la lucha inki gunti neki ma bari ju munksi bunach neki aiknu kare gav kinki gunti ziko neki rai umang diwang zani karian zoji karere mianu kumizung ungana wakandu.
One day, the Mamos, the Ika priests, believe their wisdom will be of use to the younger brothers, the Whites, for they have tried to keep humanity in touch with Mother Earth, where the Whites, they feel, have broken the bond.
Sí, ya está ahí porque ahí para allá está muy trabajoso para uno meter.
When two different cultures meet, they are bound to clash. But we haven't learned how to live with each other, because it's always the dominant society, the white people that think they know what is best for us and have taken away our dignity and are treating us as children, as if we can't make our own decisions. Therefore, they have to pass special laws supposedly to protect us. And they went ahead out of their way to be able to get us out of the way in the name of development, so they can do whatever they do with the land. And as long as the attitude is, we know what is good for you, we know what is best, there will be confrontations.
From whom did Hydro-Quebec receive permission to build the project as they have explained on that map? This is our land. I have brought up all my children on the land. I don't want the project to go ahead. So that I don't need the project. I prefer to have the land remain as it is. So I have a camp across the river, where there is no electricity, there is no heat at night, and I welcome and challenge people from Hydro-Quebec to sleep at my camp across the river.
While the Cree debate their future with Hydro-Quebec, George Lameboy and his friends still go out onto their trap line, as their fathers did before them.
If you look at the 75 agreement, okay, you have promises starting all the way from Quebec City and Montreal and Ottawa, leading up to here as I stand. And it'd be interesting to know how many have been delivered. So there is no room whatsoever to, to try. Well, there's no room to negotiate, and that's it. We went through that in 75. We learned a great deal with the 75 agreements, how governments operate. Everything is honky-dory, provided they get what they want. No, for myself and the trappers here to be forced into a nice little corner, quietly in Chashibee, nah. No way. I kid you not, I have no fear if Hydro were to stand across right now with the bulldozer. Even if they had a whole Canadian army over there, that doesn't scare me, none whatsoever. I have to make a stand somehow. That is the last stand I will make.
I never believed I would come to feel so strongly about something or someone, an entity, a person, because it goes against everything I've been taught as a Cree, that everyone is a brother. And when I see the officials from Hydro, I shake their hand, I say hello, I smile, maybe share a joke. But it's very hard to smile sometimes. It's very hard to share a joke. When the next minute they roll out this fancy map and they say these shaded areas, forget them, they no longer exist. These rivers are gone. We did it. Us and our knowledge. Well, they can keep their knowledge. We just want to be left alone. I want my son to see and enjoy the land that his grandparents walked on and now sleep in. If it were a choice between what they offer and what the land has to offer, I would choose the land. Because that's my life out there. That's our whole history out there.
Towards the end of 1991, in the jungles of the Amazon, members of the Panara tribe set out on a journey back to their ancestral lands. From their reservation in the Xingu National Park, they were to visit the Peixoto forest for the first time since they were forced out by the gold miners. And as they set off, they were optimistic, looking forward to seeing their old familiar world once more. As they neared Peixoto, they grew anxious to see what had been done to their homeland. From the air, the new gold town sprawled away into the distance. And then they saw the heart of their old forest, gouged out. All around them, only 20 years ago, was thick jungle full of tapir, monkey and macaw, with many different fruits and berries. The Panara were hoping they might be able to return and live here once again, hoping there might still be enough left here to support them on their old soil, where their ancestors had lived and now lie buried.
Look at this. Our land is destroyed. I don't like it. I don't like what they've done to our land. Here where I grew up, it's now ugly. I lived here a long time ago. It was beautiful then. I don't like what I see now. This was good forest, good land when we lived here. We used to hunt here. Now it's ruined. They've consumed the trees. It's so ugly now. The road has destroyed it all. What I'm showing you makes me sad. Look, see how my land's been ruined. They sent people here to destroy our land. This was my land and it was rich land. I killed fish here, but you've poisoned the waters. You've poisoned everything. I hate what I'm showing you. I'm angry. It's my land. I'm very angry that my land was destroyed.
Hey!